This episode of the Concierge CPA podcast is brought to you by Business Benefits Consultants. My friend David Padell over there will take your firm to the next level when it comes to any kind of supercharged retirement planning that you need. He specializes in defined benefit plans, which is what I call a 401k on steroids, and it allows entrepreneurs, high net worth business owners to put hundreds of thousands of dollars deductible each year into a retirement plan. It's a wonderful strategy. Check it out within Tax Plan IQ or contact Business Benefits Consultants. Thank you. Welcome to the Concierge CPA. I'm Jackie Meyer, founder of the Concierge Accountant Program and Tax Plan IQ software. This is a podcast for accounting firm owners and influencers who are pursuing world-class service. We discuss their path to excellence, their daily habits, and what influences them and their work. We believe that every person has a unique message that can positively impact the world. Stick around till the end of the show. We'll reveal how you can be our next guest. Let's go, y'all. Welcome to the Concierge CPA. I'm Jackie Meyer, where we get to the bottom line for accountants and entrepreneurs. As always, I have a wonderful special guest with me today. I have the wonderful Gaynor Hardy-Meilke. Did I say that right? Yes. Yay. Okay, good. Okay, so Gaynor has a hard to pronounce name, but she is an amazing person, and she is a marketing genius and guru. And we connected through other podcasts, I guess, that you had helped produce in the past and whatnot. And you recently spoke at Scaling New Heights. So welcome, Gaynor. I'm excited to have you. I want to talk all things marketing today for entrepreneurs, but also for accountants. Can you fill us in a little bit more about you?
Sure. Well, thanks for having me on, Jackie. And it's been a little while since we connected, so it was nice to see you at Scaling New Heights.
Yeah.
And a little bit of my background is I've actually been in the accounting profession for over 20 years. I actually started at Thomson Reuters Tax and Accounting in marketing and sort of fell in love with all of the super smart accounting professionals that we worked with.
Yeah.
And then followed my path to start my own business about 12 years ago. And we cater specifically to tax and accounting firms doing basically all things marketing, PR, thought leadership as well.
Okay. And did you kick off by marketing to accountants, or was that a niche that you kind of found a little later, or how did you end up there? Was it because of your time at TR?
It was. And actually before that, I worked at an agency. I'm originally from England, but my family moved to Canada when I was little. So I actually started my career in Canada at an agency that specialized in credit union and bank marketing.
Wow.
And so I worked with a lot of financial institutions and even back in the day, a few early stage fintech companies doing a lot of PR and marketing there. And then when I moved to the States over 20 years ago, Thomson Reuters was my first employment opportunity in the States. And that's when I really got into the more on the accounting side of it.
Okay, cool. So what is the biggest kind of challenge that you see accountants going through? Or it's probably similar for all entrepreneurs, but accountants might have a little bit of a technical gap between what they know and what they can explain to clients, right?
Yeah, I think that's part of it. I think there's for a lot of accounting firms, they're so busy doing the work and serving existing clients that they don't nurture new client opportunities as much as they could. And I think there's also somewhat of a hesitancy to sell. And even though with our clients, we do a lot of coaching around, it's consultative selling and referral-based selling. So it's not, pushing something on people that they don't want. And the statistics show that especially small business owners, which runs the gamut, everything from professional services to retail to e-commerce. They want more information from their accounting professionals. There's a statistic from WASP Barcode, which is a barcode technology company, that says 60% of small business owners want their accountants to be more advisory than compliance based. And so
Those are my favorite keywords.
that's right. Exactly. So you're like right on the money, of course.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what do you do to encourage accountants, or what are some simple ways that they can maybe dip their toes in the water of this without feeling really overwhelmed?
I think the biggest thing, and this was something that I spoke about at scaling, and I try to speak about it everywhere I go because
Yeah.
it's very simple, but it really is just remembering who your ideal client is, what the problem is that you solve for them, and then telling them or showing them what the outcome of working with you is. And that doesn't mean that you have to be on podcasts or doing videos or incessantly on social media.
Hmm.
But even if you're telling people in your centers of influence and referral sources about some of the types of clients you work with and what you do for them, that's probably the most powerful marketing that you can do.
Okay. So I know something that helped me kind of go in that direction. It was just baking in a request for a testimonial in every client's like annual meeting, right? So my slide literally had it there at the end to remind myself to be like, hey, you just said something really neat about what our work together is. Could I quote you on that kind of thing? And then maybe gathering a list of testimonials, putting that on their website, something like that.
Yeah, that's perfect. And also, I'm a big fan of the mini case study.
Mm-hmm.
So, we've got the testimonial and then just like 2 or 3 paragraphs that tell what the client's issue was, how you solved it, and then why their business is more successful having worked with you.
Mm-hmm.
And having those on your website and even creating like downloadable things so that somebody has to put their information in on a form on your website. I mean, those are all things that when you're talking with prospective clients, you can send to them so that they can really see how working with you works. Because
Mm-hmm.
otherwise they don't even, I would say a lot of prospects, they don't understand the language of accounting. So we don't talk to them in the language of accounting. We talk to them in the language of business outcomes, which is something that they understand.
Sure. So this idea of clicking something and downloading something, that's a CTA, a call to action, which I've learned way too much. I don't want to even know this as much as I know about it in the last few years, just through learning how to market tax on IQ. But that's not something that was naturally ever taught to me as an accountant or an accounting firm owner. And it's really a good, nice, basic way to, yes, collect people's information. In fact, Gaynor will be supplying a particular workbook download. We'll decide on what that is as we close out the session today for our listeners so that you can get that CTA. But, going back to scaling new heights, I always get a little FOMO because I miss out on all these amazing other people's sessions. I didn't see yours. I got in, my flight came in later after yours. Is there a way for you to give us kind of a Cliff Note version of kind of key points that you had from that session?
Yeah, definitely. So the session was actually optimizing your firm's digital marketing, and it was basically taking people who attended the session from the top of their sales funnel all the way through to the bottom.
Okay.
And for people who aren't familiar with the term sales funnel, it's basically trying to get people from education at the top and they've got interest in finding a solution to a problem that you can solve, taking them to the middle of the funnel where they've engaged with you and they want to find out more. That's where some of like downloadable content might come into play.
Okay.
To what's the bottom of the funnel, and we call it a funnel because there's going to be fewer people who go right to the bottom of the funnel,
Mm-hmm.
and you can actually have a sales conversation with them. but all of the pieces and parts of that and how you can structure it for your firm. So what I would say, like on the Cliffs Notes version of it, is know who your ideal client is very specifically, be able to picture them in your head, and then think about where they would be looking for the information that would be relevant to the problem you solve for them, because it's not everywhere. It's very specific places. And then what questions are they going to have that you can proactively answer for them? That's going to be the type of content that you want to create. And how can you position yourself as the most credible person to help them with the problem? And then make it very clear on your website and in any other form that you're touching them with content or your message. Make it very easy for them to understand how they can work with you and what the next step is to take.
Okay.
So that's basically the process. But I also just want to kind of go right back up to the top of the funnel.
Okay.
You and I had talked about what kind of download, I could provide. And I mentioned I have this Bank Your Brain blueprint, which is essentially a business plan for monetizing your professional knowledge. But the reason why I want to bring that up is because I still think that there is no better place to get in front of prospects and engage with them than in like their professional associations or the places where they are learning. And let's be honest, there's very few people, even business owners, who are going to proactively look for accounting services or something that's relevant to accounting or their business unless they're really on a mission to solve a problem. So they're not just scrolling Instagram looking for, witty quotes from their accountant. They're looking to solve a problem. So is Instagram the best place for them? Maybe it is if they're content creators or they have a retail business and that's where they get information from. But if they're a dentist, they're probably not going to be looking on Instagram for an accounting professional. So that's where I really want to help people understand that if they can figure out where their ideal client is looking for the information around their service offering, that's where they need to focus their efforts, not just like spray and pray kind of marketing anymore.
Yeah. Okay. So that prompts a lot of questions. I was speaking to someone, another like marketing company at Scaling New Heights, and I was asking them, my target market at Meyer Tax was high net worth executives and entrepreneurs, and it's kind of hard to find them online. But you can, I think, target marketing for certain zip codes that are maybe higher income levels or something like that. But I was asking them about the marketing messaging for advisory services. And they said that most people are not looking for the advisory service is a want and not a need. And so you shouldn't necessarily like kick off your marketing with that. And I don't know if I completely agree with that because, like you said, the majority of people do want advisory services. And so I think if you can kind of kick off your messaging with how different you are or the fact that you are bringing advisory to the table versus just compliance work, I would think that would make you stand out. So what's your viewpoint on that and what are you seeing successful?
So I would say that both of you are right. One, I don't think that the average business person really understands what accounting advisory services is. Like, I don't think they're going to be Googling that term necessarily.
No.
So I think that what you need to do, right off the bat is figure out what your niche is and create a brand around we're the CPA for whatever type of business it is, and then connect the dots between I have a client firm and they specialize in dental, so I'll just use that as an example. So if they're a dental CPA group, they just talk in the dental language. They go to dental conferences. Like, they immerse themselves in the dental industry, and that does distinguish them because they're not just an accounting firm saying, hey, we have advisory services that could help your practice. It's they have very specific deliverables and KPIs that they talk about, and that's all part of their advisory package. So then when they get those prospects who want to work with them, that's when they go into, and this is how we work with you as an advisor in your business. It's not right off the bat.
Yeah, that's kind of what the other marketer is saying, is like, lead with getting them in the door for what they need, the compliance work, and then kind of upsell them. So I took a bit of a different approach, though, at Meyer Tax. I mean, I led with tax planning. We wouldn't even take a client if we couldn't do tax planning or find an ROI for. And so I knew high net worth executives understood what an ROI was, right?
Yeah.
And so I kind of led with the fact that, like, we are going to get a return on investment for our clients, that kind of thing. And it seemed to work pretty well for that niche market. I don't know if the typical business owner or individual might respond in that way.
I think so. I mean, what I was trying to say there beforehand was that you are talking about the outcomes and the ROI and the KPIs. You're not talking in the accountant language of, this is what we call advisory. You're saying these are the business outcomes that we can help you achieve. And then you can say, this is actually called advisory, and it's, different, or it's the most important part of what we can do for you. And we'll take care of all of the, back end accounting and your compliance tax, because we need all of that information to feed the insights that we can help you understand and then apply to your business. Right. So,
Okay, cool.
yeah, I think there's an education piece for sure around business owners, and this is what an accountant worth their salt is going to offer you. And it's not the compliance work. It's really being your advisor.
Okay. And you mentioned referral marketing. Did you say that that's something you do pretty heavily with your clients, or?
Yeah, we definitely encourage developing those referral networks. And we actually get a lot of requests from firms to help them put together marketing to other firms or other centers of influence, so that they can. I think one of the biggest hurdles in that type of relationship is just a trust factor. If people aren't familiar with you already,
Sure.
We're seeing a lot of firms doing sort of like complementary reciprocal referrals. So you've got a tax firm, or maybe there's a firm doing tax planning, but they don't want to do the, accounting and bookkeeping.
Yeah,
So
that's becoming a lot more common, isn't it?
It is. And so you need to be able to establish trust, one, that you're not going to poach each other's clients completely.
Sure.
And how is that working relationship going to benefit everybody? And so that's actually a very, I would say it's a growing segment, definitely in marketing, that's not kind of your typical direct to client marketing.
Okay, yeah, that reminds me of some of the best referrals I ever received were actually from estate attorneys. So I had clients asking me for estate planning and whatnot. That wasn't my specialty, but I knew it was a part of that niche market, my high net worth market. And so I went and sought out an estate attorney that was easy to work with, wasn't boring as could be, fast to work with, all the things that we wanted to be able to manage that relationship well. But the thing that came out of it that I didn't expect is once they realized what we did for the clients, they were all over that. So they started sending us referrals left and right that were the perfect fit. And so I think it's really neat to go seek out exactly what your clients need, and then hopefully it'll just kind of start coming back at you for the services you can provide, right?
Right. I mean, that's the perfect sort of complementary referral circle
Mm-hmm.
that we talk about. And there's a great example that's, adjacent to tax planning, which is the tax representation piece.
Mm-hmm.
And we see that a lot with firms that are specializing in tax representation, where they do work with bankruptcy lawyers, they work with divorce lawyers, it could even be estate lawyers, business valuators, so that every kind of angle of a client who might have tax issues
Mm-hmm.
is covered, and then they're getting those reciprocal referrals and then referring out when they have clients, for the legal pieces,
Okay.
especially.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay, let's go back to this funnel. So you were teaching about the funnel at the conference. You've got kind of the top of the funnel, the bottom of the funnel. It narrows down, like you said. And I mean, from the top of the funnel, when someone's kind of cold and they're coming in to your web page, there's what, maybe like a 2% like client conversion rate out of that. And so you have to make sure you start with a lot more than that if you want that amount of conversions, right?
Yes. And that's something I think a lot of firms either don't realize or they get discouraged because they're not getting enough leads into the funnel. And again, I'm all about efficiency in marketing. I don't want people to spend more time or money than they need to get what they need out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And so as far as like filling that top of the funnel, again, it needs to be a one-to-many strategy as far as I'm concerned. And we can do Google ads, but that's a science in and of itself. We've got, you have to spend time and money like tinkering with it to make sure that you're getting ROI on it.
Sure.
And I spoke to somebody right after my session at Scaling, and they were spending a lot of money on Google ads, and they're like, but we're not really seeing anything out of it. And I was like, well, one, who are you targeting? And they couldn't tell me. And two, I was like, well, what's the call to action? And they're like, I don't think we have one. I'm like, what? You're like running ads just like to tell people that your firm exists? Like, please don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
So that's, if you can target really effectively, I mean, some firms have this locked down, and depending on the industry, like, for example, if somebody's running like a e-commerce shop and they're looking for, an accountant that specializes in e-commerce, specific kind or inventory management, I mean, you can get very specific and probably do pretty well with that. But,
Sure.
I go back to my dental CPA example. I mean, sure, you could run ads, you could run retargeting ads where, if somebody's on a, one type of dental CPA website, your ads can also show up after they've been to your site, all kinds of things like that. But nothing actually, I don't think speaks more strongly to an ideal client prospect, especially in professional services, than having somebody educate them either at a conference, on a webinar, or having really great content that answers questions that they're Googling, whether that be on YouTube or a blog or something like that. Because, otherwise, how are you going to know where these prospects are in their, buying decision?
Sure.
Right? You're not going to know, that an accountant in New Jersey is looking, or not an accountant, a dental practice in New Jersey is looking for an accountant, unless, you're plugged into the points at which they're looking for those services. So, it's also one thing that we also teach is just the evaluation aspect of your marketing. It's like, stop doing the things that don't work for you and just do more of what does work.
Okay. That sounds good.
Yeah, it's like the light lift strategy, because most firms, unless they're like this massive, 200-person firm, they're looking for like small numbers of leads.
Sure.
And so there's a lot of money wasted when you're trying to like reach absolutely everybody, when you can just be more efficient and become known in your market as the go-to that's specialized in the particular problems of that type of industry or business.
Okay. Another thing that you mentioned earlier is putting out education content. I think it's helpful to maybe remind people or have them think about the fact that the more education you can get out there to the masses, the more you're essentially pre-selling yourself to where you don't have to do as much to close the deal later, right? So if you have no idea what people want to know about, think about what questions people are asking you in your presentation or when you meet with them for a discovery call. Generic things they might ask you about your firm or particular strategies that you get the same question over and over again. Those kind of repeatables tend to be really good things to start with. Would you agree?
Oh, definitely. And I also think if you are very, I guess, honed in on your existing client base and who are your best clients, what are you doing for them? And what do they value the most about what you do for them? That's a great place to start as well, because you're going to be able to attract more of the people that you actually want to work with.
Love it. Okay, awesome. So I polled my Facebook group, Accounting Firm Influencers, and I got a few questions specifically for you, if you don't mind.
Not at all.
All right. So first of all, Chris Mundan is curious, what marketing strategies offer the best ROI for firms that are just starting out? What are you seeing?
Well, we just touched on it. I think the education, going to events where your ideal client profile people are. So, I kind of have to smile a little bit because I always try and turn my presentations inside out a little bit when I speak. And I'm like, why do you think I'm at accounting conferences? Because accountants are my ideal client prospects, and I love educating them. And I get more business, from going to conferences and putting out educational content than any type of advertising could ever get me. And they're better clients. So I would say if you're a small firm just starting out, approach some of the associations or interest groups, or you've got a Facebook group. That's also another place that you could start. LinkedIn groups, and get to know the people that you're trying to sell to, and start providing them with some valuable knowledge that they can actually use. And you'll be amazed at the number of people who then reach out for more, because they're like, oh, wow, they're not only super smart, but they're helpful as well. I want to work with that type of person.
Yeah, that's a great idea. So when I'm coaching accountants and they're looking for new clients, I'm like, hey, this whole, starting the Facebook group or LinkedIn group is the way to go, because it's free instead of, LinkedIn paid advertising is very expensive comparative to, when I started my firm in 2010. But these groups, you can name them to attract your ideal clients and then provide some complimentary answers, build that trust. And it includes a little bit of privacy around putting them in the group versus it being out there in the public. So I always think that's really great. I had someone really successful doing that for truck drivers as their clients. I had another one that was California to Idaho business owner transplants, which is so specific, but there's a lot of those apparently. And so, yeah, they had a lot of success in that area. So those are great ideas. Okay, another question I have from Shanley Liu on Accounting Firm Influencers. What's a simple and systematic process to develop content for an accounting firm? Ooh, that seems like a loaded question, but.
Well, so number one is, from my mouth, is always going to be know who you're trying to talk to.
Okay.
So, we're not talking to everybody. We're, that example you gave of the California to where Idaho
yeah.
transplants. I mean, you need to be that specific about who your ideal client is, because even I'll go back to my dental niche example. There's like at least 50 different specializations of dentists.
Mm.
So the firm that I work with um, on their dental practices, I mean, they're members of the Florida Dental Prosthetic Society, because they get a lot of prosthodontists as clients.
Hmm.
And so, you know, every single type of business probably has a small to medium sized to even large group around it. You need to understand what their pain points are and then make your content very specific to answering the questions that they would have around the services that you offer. And when we say the services that you offer, for example, if you're offering the advisory type of services, the content really should be about, how having blind spots about your numbers, or
Mm.
how different parts of your financial picture in your business can impact your results, and things like that, as opposed to just, we provide these accounting services and they're wonderful, don't you want to try them?
Sure. Okay. And another question Shan Lee has that's actually on my mind a lot too, and I go back and forth, back and forth. Is it more effective to market under your personal name or under the business name?
Mm. Well, there you go. That is a loaded question, actually, because we work with thought leaders. And we work with firm owners who are thought leaders. We work with influencers. We work with tech companies, and they have internal thought leaders as well. But as far as marketing goes, I think that if you ever want to sell your firm, or B, not always be the person out front,
Mm-hmm.
then you should have your firm brand, established. And, I'm a good example as well. Charisma Inc. is my company, but I'm always the front runner
Sure.
of the business. And so people know me, but they also know that I have a company. And so I think it's important to do both, because otherwise, if you just market yourself, and if you just want very small clients, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're trying to get up to a new level of larger client, they may not want to work with just a solo shop. And then the other thing is, if you want that succession plan, or you don't want to always be the one out front, if all you do is market yourself, you're going to have difficulty doing that. So I would say establish a brand presence, but then also market yourself as a thought leader in your industry that you're serving, against the foundation of your business.
That's a great idea. I love that. Okay, you've got Bridging the Gap coming up, I believe, is your next conference. Shout out to Randy Crabtree. When I ask people since he released this conference last year what their favorite conference is, they always say Bridging the Gap. Why do you think that is? Tell me your view on that, and tell us what you're talking about there.
Okay, well, I think Bridging the Gap has been so successful because it truly is a community conference,
Mm-hmm.
and it is also addressing kind of like the 360 of the accounting profession, where yes, there's the technical tax track, they've got mental health, which is, as we all know, very, very important in
Yes.
our profession as well. But there's a lot of great people there, and everybody wants to collaborate and help everybody get to the next level of success. And so I think, Randy and his team are so community oriented that they make everybody feel welcome, and the content is just engaging. The education is amazing. So it just brings everything together, and they have these awesome awards, and they're super funny. So, it's just a great time, and it's efficient. It's just, a few days, and it's centrally located. So it's easy to get to in Chicago.
Yeah. So what's a fun award that they give?
Okay, so last year I have to like give a shout out that they gave Randy the Lifetime Achievement Award. And it was kind of funny because he was joking that he had not been recognized as one of the Accounting Today, top 100.
Ah, yes, 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 yes.
Yeah, so they gave him an award, but they also had like best social media and best wardrobe. I think Nayo won.
Oh,
Wardrobe.
lovely.
So yeah, it was just hilarious. So that was definitely a highlight, and I know they're taking nominations right now for awards, so
Oh,
you can
cool.
nominate
Okay.
people. So I can get you the link for that.
That'd be awesome.
And
Yeah,
I'm
we'll add
like,
that to the show notes for sure.
yeah, and I'm actually on an EOS panel, so the Entrepreneurial Operating
Yes.
System, help with a
Good
lot of
stuff. Okay.
integrations and the marketing aspects of EOS. So I'm doing that panel, and I'm also helping some of the other speakers there too.
Awesome. So we practice EOS at Tax Plan IQ. What's I guess if people aren't familiar with EOS or they've heard of it but don't know if it's quite for them, what would you say to encourage them to check it out?
Well, I think that a lot of firms are starting to really understand that in order to be successful, especially now that we've got so much technology, we have remote teams, there's a lot of pieces and parts, even in a smaller firm.
Mm-hmm.
EOS helps you systematize, it helps you really get a vision. I mean, part of the vision piece of EOS is getting yourself clear on what you want to have like in the next 90 days, in the next year, in the next 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, so that you've got a roadmap, and then it gives you all of the systems so that you can actually make that roadmap reality, as well as giving your team accountability and very specific action items, so that we're not creating this vision and a plan and then it goes nowhere. So, it's if you have not read the book Traction, then that would be a great place to start. And I have a fun fact about EOS that I like to share.
Okay.
So I'm based in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and Geno Wickman, who started EOS and wrote Traction, lives about 40 minutes from there.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
By. But about, I don't know, 25 years ago when he first wrote Traction, he came to like a Chamber of Commerce meeting that I was at, and I was like, oh, that's a great system. I hope he's successful with it. I would say he's definitely been super successful with it.
Yeah, I think so. And he just came out with a new book, Shine, that's definitely more mental health oriented and personable. That is really good. Very practical skill sets around kind of becoming a better person and having inner peace as an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's a really interesting guy. I haven't met him, but it's on the bucket list, that's for sure.
How long have you been doing EOS?
About 3 years now. So we started when I had about 6 or 7 people, and I think that's probably the earliest that someone wants to just start kind of dipping your toes. And then once you get like 8 to 10 people, that's when I think it can really shine. Do you see similar results?
Yes, I would say, though, I was going to actually bring up the fact that even if you're not ready to like do the, to make the investment in having like the on-site implementer and all of those things, you can do the DIY version, and you can read the book. They have like a DIY training, and then you can use the software. And I've seen smaller firms be successful with it because it gives them structure.
Yeah,
and
some kind of standardization, right?
Right. It's the mindset as much as anything. It's like really taking your business seriously as opposed to wishing that it were so. It's
sure.
Like, we're
I
actually going to
think
do this.
the L10s, which is their weekly leadership meeting, that rocked my world when it came to it's very specific how you start the meeting, what you go over, you make sure you address issues, you go through your to-do list. That meeting alone, I would recommend for a 2-person team, just because it's going to give you that structure and make sure that you're revisiting things that are important. Otherwise, I know I'm guilty of just assuming people know what I'm thinking all the time as a leader, and they don't, right?
No. Well, and I would also say it does help you prioritize, right?
Yeah,
because
for sure.
you're not going to get to every single issue in one of those meetings.
Right. And if you don't have any issues, that's an issue in itself, right?
Yeah.
There should be some kind of issue to work through to better the company and the people in it, right?
Yeah. We don't evolve, we die.
Yes. Yeah. All right, awesome. Well, what else do listeners need to know about marketing, PR, anything that's your kind of line of expertise that we haven't discussed that you think would be a nice key tip?
Well, I think one, have a plan for it. Like, don't just do what you want on a whim. And I don't say that lightly.
Sure.
I see a lot of firms who, they see, another firm doing something or like a business that's, not in accounting doing something, or their friends tell them to do something. And if you don't have a plan and you're not really understanding in your business where you're getting clients from, that's probably the best place to start.
Mm-hmm.
Because then you can do more of that and understand what you actually need to be doing to bring those leads in. And I would also say I'm a big proponent of less is more. Okay. So, pick 3 things and do them well if they're working, as opposed to trying to create this massive marketing plan that you can never really implement to its full effectiveness. And there's no better marketing still to this day than, a happy, satisfied client. So back to what we started with at the beginning, making sure that you have client reviews and testimonials, and, your referral networks know the good work that you do, that's going to pay dividends, whether you're running Google ads or not.
Yeah. Okay, great. That's awesome. What's the best way for people to reach you, Gaynor, if they want to touch base about anything?
Well, I love connecting on LinkedIn. So, Gaynor Meilke on LinkedIn. Our website is charismainc.com, which I'm sure we'll add to the show notes
For
here.
Sure.
And if you happen to be going to Bridging the Gap, I will certainly be there. Would love to connect. But I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram under Charisma Inkster. And you can just reach out by email too. I love talking with people.
That's great. And what giveaway do you think would be the best for this audience based on what we discussed today? What shall we include for people to grab?
I actually think the Market Ownership Method book would be great because it covers kind of from end to end the sales funnel, selling, and it's all specific to B2B services.
Okay, awesome. Yep, we will definitely get that from you. Thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. It was a pleasure. And you rock. So I'm excited to talk with you.
You rock too. All right. Take care.
All right. You too. Take care.
Thank you for listening to the Concierge CPA, hosted by Tax Plan IQ. We believe that every person has a unique message that can positively impact the world. If you are a successful accounting firm owner or influencer who would like to be on this program, please visit JackieMeyerCPA.com, JackieMeyer CPA.com to apply. Please share this on social media and rate us so we can continue our good work. Join our Facebook group called Accounting Firm Influencers, or connect with me on most platforms under Jackie Meyer CPA. Thanks for being accountable to transforming our industry today.